What up, folks? What it do? Welcome to another episode of the Best Advice Ever podcast. You know who I am, Mike Goodwin. Bow tie comedy. Well, this is the second this is and I'm not gonna take that out. This is the second episode of the second season. And I want to say thank you so much for hanging on, meeting me for the first time. If this is your first time listening, welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, I just got back off the road. I was in Deerfield, Illinois. Interesting thing about Illinois is I like to put the S on Illinois. And I don't think I'm the only person that does that. I like to say Illinois, but it's Illinois, right? I think that's the correct pronunciation. But being that I'm from the South with an F, sometimes we have creative interpretations of words, and Illinois is one of those words. However, I was at Trinity International University doing an alumni event. Went fantastically well. Must share this with you. The last few months especially has been very difficult for me personally. That's who me is, right? And I would like to share with you, and this is going to take a little bit of a turn, so kind of brace yourself, that I've lost my father, and we will have his services this week. And I wanted to share that information with you because I think it's important for you to know. I think everyone in life is dealing with challenges and obstacles and difficulties and just life's circumstances in general. However, we still got to show up, right? You still have to commit to the things that you have committed to. You have to cash in on the promises that you've made to others. And I'm very much in the grieving process, and I'm sad, and I'm all the things. As a matter of fact, I just was listening to the Smokey Robinson song, Tears of a Clown. I've never really paid attention to the words of the song, but it was pretty profound. And he's basically saying that don't confuse my gladness or the happy look on my face for an unrealistic expectation that I'm not hurting. And I think he's singing this song to someone who he's no longer in a relationship with. But he's like, hey, out here in the public, I look great and I'm putting on a happy face, but inside I'm hurt. I'm struggling. And it's the tears of a clown. However, I don't see myself as a clown. I know I do stand-up comedy. And clown is a very derogatory meaning for me if you're saying, oh, you're being a clown. But if I'm being a clown in the sense of what a clown provides is entertainment, laughter, and joy, yes, I guess I'm a clown. But in terms of a clown is someone to not regard, someone that is not to be taken seriously, someone that's trivial. But the tears of a clown were very apropos as lyrics to this song that basically says, I'm still sad. I'm happy. I'm when you see me, I got a bright smile on my face, but do know on the inside that I'm dealing with some challenges. And I am, and that's life, and that's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve, and I'm grieving, and I will continue to grieve. And I know grief is not a one-stop shop. You know, it's a process that you have to work your way through. And I've been doing the work prior to my dad's passing. This is not a surprise or shock to me and my family, but it's still hard. My dad is my dad. This is the man that has basically shaped much of who I am. He was my reference point, my North Star of manhood, and what a father looked like and what a husband looked like. And I learned so many powerful and positive lessons from my father. And we share the same name. So I will continue to bring honor and notoriety of positive acclaim to the name Michael Goodwin. And I wanted to share that with you. And the other thing to know about me, I really don't stay sad long. Like I'm sad. I'm no doubt sad, but I have the ability to, in the midst of a storm, look unbothered. Doesn't mean I'm not, but in the midst of a storm, I look like it's a bright and sunny day. And that's just something I guess I've cultivated. I think my father is a great contributor to that, because my father, one of the expressions people say that diamonds are made under intense pressure. Well, my father was the intense pressure in my life, and a diamond has emerged from the process. So I honor my dad. I look forward to sharing memories about my dad. I constantly talk about my dad in my stand-up. The Big Dad Energy Tour is sort of a ballad to fatherhood in general, which my dad plays a big part of that. So I'm interested to see how I will craft content and material to talk about death and talking about losing someone and the grief process and being a son that no longer has a father that's here earthly on this earth, here in earthly form, right? And throughout this process, I'm not sad very long. And here's an example of that. So my dad had to go. We ultimately ended up having to put him on inpatient hospice at the hospital, where they removed the tube. And shout out to hospice hospice nurses. They are some of the most kind-hearted, compassionate, sympathetic. Anyone who even works in that hospice field. I had such a great experience working with the professionals that I worked with, whether it's at the hospital, whether it was at I guess the government, and not government, because there's a social worker that works for the hospital, and even the funeral director has been tremendous, and it's been a great experience in spite of tragedy. One of the things that was interesting, I was having a discussion with my two siblings. I have a sister and a brother. I'm the oldest, and we were talking about our options, whether or not we would take him to a place for him to be there in hospice, or come into one of our homes, or to be inpatient at the hospital. And during one of the conversations, my sister said, "Well, we have to figure out if one of these facilities has a bed available. That is something that we will need to find out." And me, being who I am, was basically like, yeah, I think a bed will be available if we need a bed. It's the demographic that we're talking about. There's high turnover in that group that we're hospice group. There's not I think there'll be some occupancy. There's some openings. I'm just give it a couple of hours. I think something will open up. Now you may be listening to this and you may be moaning like, "Oh, Mike, really, seriously?" But yeah, that's how my mind works. I just my mind automatically goes to the place that's like, let's look at this another way. Yeah, there may not be any beds available today, but tomorrow I'm certain that there may be. A bed, possibly. I mean, it's not far fetched to believe this. The other thing that tickled me, so my dad was in inpatient hospice in the same room. So we had him transferred. He was transferred from Kershaw County, which is where he was living, to Columbia, where I live, MUSC downtown campus. And he ultimately ended up staying in the same room that he was admitted into. It was on the 5th floor, and I guess the 5th and 6th floor are for folks that have some long-term illnesses, maybe even inpatient hospice occupancy. And I really got used to making that trip. I would go up every day and spend a number of hours just being there. I think that the ministry of presence is important. I've talked about this before. I'm certain during sad times, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna just chill. I'm gonna sit up and kick it. I'm really pretty good at the ministry of presence. Not really saying anything, doing anything, just being available. Somebody needs a chair moved. Someone needs a car backed into a parking spot. Someone needs groceries taken out. Any kind of thing, I'm available during difficult times. And so I'm sitting there with my father. I come in every day. I just post up. And I spend a number of hours just there by the bedside. But when I would walk in, there was a patient on the hall, and you would have thought this gentleman was in Club Med, man. This guy, now he definitely wasn't as severe of a case as my father. My father, by the time he made it to Columbia, he was not able to move. Like he couldn't stand up. He had lost the ability to communicate. He was nonverbal. He basically, would open his eyes, and you could kind of see by his facial expression. He could make a grunt noise. He could do those things, but he wasn't having conversations. But this dude at the end of the hall, man, he was playing music on the television because there's limited channels in the hospital. The hospital's cable subscription, let's say that. And this guy would have the mute. Man, I would walk by and he'd be playing like the 80s. Michael Jackson music would be he's singing along with it. Like he's legit like, hey man, I'm on vacation. I would come. Sometimes he would be on his walker going through the hall. I mean, he just was the life of the party in a place that life was leaving the party. See, I'm sorry. So that was very interesting. So there were a number of bright spots, even though this has been a very challenging and difficult time. One of the coolest things I appreciated was the day that we received the call that my father had transitioned. We came to the hospital, and as we were leaving from his room for the final time, the nurses were kind of giving us the hands and the hearts and sorry for your loss. It was, you kind of just walked out to this very respectful and sympathetic honoring of a life, and it was so that everyone stopped what they're doing. No one was on their computer or on the phone, and they just acknowledged that my dad had transitioned, and they care and they appreciate, and they felt a tremendous amount of condolence to our family. And that was a very encouraging moment in that very, very difficult time. So thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your comments, for your gifts, anything that you've done to communicate condolence to me and my family. I am so appreciative, and I will continue to carry the name Michael Goodwin with pride and dignity. And you will continue to hear stories about my father and the things that I've learned from him from my time here on earth. Speaking of fathers, shout out to Deion Sanders, the Church of Prime. I'm not spoken about the Church of Prime in quite a while. By the time we restarted the podcast, the college football season had started, and Colorado started off in blazing fashion. I think they went 3-0 out of the gate. Big win against TCU, shocked the world. We had Shedeur Sanders in Heisman Trophy conversations. The sky was the limit for this upstart Colorado Buffalo team led by primetime Deion Sanders. And like I've said in previous podcasts, if Deion had a church, I would be there. However, the season has gone a little further than the beginning. The beginning started great, but the middle has been a little bit of a challenge. And now they sit at the 500 mark of 4-4, which is very respectable. They won one game last year. And I'm still encouraged by the charisma and the leadership of Coach Prime. Matter of fact, they just lost a game to UCLA in which I believe Shedeur Sanders was sacked 7 times in the rushing game. I think they ended up with about 25 yards rushing. So you're not gonna be very competitive when your offensive line is not showing up. I'm a South Carolina Gamecock fan. Our offensive line is on sabbatical this year, which is why we sit at 2-5. I believe I've kind of stopped keeping notes, but 2-5, and then also my honorary team that I celebrate and pull for, the Oklahoma Sooners, received their first loss this weekend to Kansas. Rock 'em, chalk 'em, Jayhawks. So, I don't know what they say. They say rock 'em, chalk 'em. And I was really going to be advertised. And, I'm thinking Oklahoma can go undefeated this season. And I spoke to the team. And I'm saying I think a big part of their success is predicated on the fact that they had me in there. Come speak to those young men and encourage them for the upcoming season. They're still 7-1. So I think my work has been very beneficial, and they lost on a last-second Hail Mary type thing. So Oklahoma's still rolling. Boomer Sooners. Now, I know there may be some Texas folks and some other folks that aren't fans of OU. I'm just sharing my experience and why I have a connection with the team. But shout out to Coach Prime. I figured out that people love an underdog. They love an underdog story. So there are a lot of folks cheering for Colorado that wouldn't typically cheer for Colorado. And they're going to like Colorado while they're kind of upstart. But once Colorado starts winning and beating people up, I don't think he's going to have the support like that. But hopefully if he starts a church, I don't think I'll leave my church, but I'll visit. I'll stop in a time or two. I definitely need to get one of those ain't hard to find hoodies. Some of you may be even saying, and I doubt that you are, like, Mike, what happened to the fedora? What happened to the blazers? Hey, man, nobody's been watching my YouTube videos. I'm like, I'm just going to wear what I wear, and I can leave here and go work out versus, having to figure out, oh, man, I got to change clothes. Like, I can leave right here and go right to the gym. So I will discontinue the stylist presentation on the podcast because I just need to be able to leave and go work out. So that's why I'm not wearing my duds. Now, for the part of the podcast that you all have been waiting for, the best advice ever. The best advice ever that I will share with you today is simply implement a wellness routine. And I called it that for a reason. Implement a wellness routine in your life. Have some form of physical activity that you're doing on a regular basis. When I'm thinking a routine, I'm thinking weekly. Like, what's your weekly wellness routine? And I don't even want to say exercise. I don't want to say gym. I don't even want to restrict it to that. You can swim. If you swim 3 times a week for an hour, for 45 minutes, for 30 minutes, that's a wellness routine. That's great. if you walk your neighborhood 4 times a week, if you do Zumba, if you go hiking multiple times a week, those are things that are vitally important as I think about mortality and I think about, my father that is passing. One of the things that has been very hard to watch is to watch my father decline physically. My father was one of the strongest men, and I've never seen my father lift a weight. I've never seen him jog a lap, but my father was a titan of strength, and that he worked a very labor intensive job. So I think he was able to, quote unquote, work out at work. So he didn't have to have a gym membership, and he didn't have to do crunches in his rooms and push-ups, because his job was such a physical demand that it kept him in great shape. Well, I would encourage you to implement a wellness program. I choose strength training. I choose resistance training. I like lifting weights. I like going to the gym. Now, if you look at the course of my life, I've done a number of things. I've done HIIT, which is high intensity, some type of training. So kettlebells, ropes, box jumps, Tabata, sprints, all these kind of fast twitch, quick movements, quick twitch muscles. But that, and one of the things I don't really enjoy, I like groups. I like to work out in a community. So one thing about me in fitness, I don't want to do it I can do it by myself. I don't want to do it alone. So I can work out by myself. I want to work out with other people. I want other people to be doing what they're doing and other people to be in the vicinity. That's why, I work out at a place called New Body in Columbia, and everybody's doing their own workout, but we're all in there together. I like that. I don't need to be doing the same thing that you're doing. The group activity, because I've done Orange Theory, I've done ISI, I've done F3, which is an outdoor workout for men super early in the morning. I've been to basic trainings. I've done the group activities. I just don't want nobody yelling at me. Come on, Mike, you got 4 more reps, 30 more seconds. No, man, leave me alone. I'm gonna do the reps. I'm only in here for wellness reasons. I don't have a big game coming up. I'm not preparing for the playoffs. I'm training for life. I'm training for when my flight lands at 8:05 and the other flight boards at 8:10, and I'm at terminal B and I need to get to terminal F. That's what I train for. I train to not miss my flights. I train to be able to go outside with my son and show him some things on the basketball court. I train to not get blowed out in the bedroom. I should have told you to cover your children's ears for that. I train for like normal day life. I train to look nice. I want my jackets to fit. I don't want my jackets to not fit. That's why I train. So, and I think personally, strength training is one of the ways that you can slow down the aging process. You slow it down because you create muscle mass. Muscle mass over time, it decreases with age. So you can increase muscle mass. It's just having muscle can fight off things in your body like injuries and disease. Being more fit, your body's more of a well-tuned machine. You can take some blows from life, from stress, and still navigate through it. It increases bone density. Bones, they get a little brittle, and over time they're not, if you're not moving them and exercising and utilizing them, they're not going to increase in density. And one of the biggest things that as you age, your mobility, your balance, and working out, lifting weights helps with your balance And it helps with weight control if you're not just working out, but you're also being mindful of your diet. So because we all see the person that is big in muscle and big in belly. Like we know those people. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be big in stature and big in the belly fat. I don't want to be in my second trimester at the gym. So it burns more calories when you have muscle. Muscle burns more calories, but they also, you need to follow that with a well nutrient protein based diet is what I choose. I do a lot of vegetables, protein, try to cut out sugary drinks and cakes and cookies, not eliminate them, but things that are hard for your body, processed foods, things for your body that are hard to process. I try to minimize those things. So I would encourage you to implement a wellness strategy, a wellness routine. What you're not going to do is say Mike Goodwin did not tell you this information. One of the things that we used to say in the military, the drill sergeants used to yell at us and basically was, don't cheat your body, especially believers, especially Christian folks, especially folks that are word people that believe faith. I speak the word over my life and I pray and I fast, but I only fast one time a month or once a year. And I don't take the steps. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I eat up a bag of chips in one sitting. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I eat a whole carton of ice cream. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I eat cookies every day. Like, we need some balance. And I don't even know what balance is the word. You can't even balance at some stage in our lives, especially as we age. There was a time in life where I could throw down 2 or 3 Big Macs when they were $1 and to keep it moving because my metabolism was high. I was playing pickup games with my friends. I was doing things that required my body to move. People aren't doing that anymore. So I would encourage you to implement some form of wellness. And again, I'm not trying to tell you to become a supermodel, a fitness icon. I'm not trying to tell you to be CT Fletcher or have this physique that is to people, or to stop you on the street and say, hey, what kind of fitness workout how do you stay fit? There's somebody that does that on TikTok. They stop people that look fit and ask them about their workout. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to move, have some deliberate intention around how do you care for your physical body. Many of us, we care for our spiritual health, we care for our mental health, but we do not care to the extent. And I'm not even talking about weight. I'm not even thinking about weight. I'm just thinking about using your body to get the optimum performance out of it. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in again. Follow me, subscribe, rate the show. Please go to my website, MikeGoodwin.com. Find out upcoming dates for the Big Dad Energy Tour. I'm going to be in Columbia, South Carolina, but those tickets are sold out. They're gone. There's no more tickets. You can't email me, can't text me. I don't have any more. There ain't no more. There's 400 seats. Those seats are present and accounted for. But I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina, February the 30th at Good Nights Comedy Club, 8 o'clock. But also continue to stay locked in. Thank you again for listening to the Big Dad Energy Podcast. It's not Big Dad Energy Podcast. This is the best advice ever podcast, sponsored by the Big Dad Energy Tour. I'll be back with you every week. Same bat channel, same place, same bat place. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. And I appreciate that. Y'all have a great day. Peace.